Another violent day in Egypt. More clashes between security forces and protesters backing ousted President Mohamed Morsi. How big a role should the U.S. play in this crisis? Political editor Paul Steinhauser finds out Americans favor a cautious approach.
Hey, Fred, the U.S. should steer clear of the unrest in Egypt. That seems to be the message from the most recent polling on the upheaval in the Middle Eastern country. More than 3/4 of Americans questioned in a National Journal Congressional Connection survey said that Washington should mostly stay out of the events in Egypt. And 6 in 10 said that U.S. aid to Egypt should be reduced or eliminated. Cairo gets more than $1 billion in U.S. aid per year. The poll was conducted last month, well before this week's outburst of new violence. A Pew Research Center survey conducted right around the same time found a drop in the number of people who said the unrest in Egypt was very important to American interests. Fred?
Thanks so much, Paul Steinhauser. Appreciate that. So those polls show most Americans favor a cautious approach, but the escalation of violence also means the White House is finding itself with fewer options in its military alliance with Egypt. The biggest move so far has been the canceling of joint military exercises scheduled for next month. James Spider Marks is CNN's military analyst and former commanding general of the U.S. Army Intelligence Center. All right, good to see you.
Hi, Fred. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. So explain this military relationship between the U.S. and Egypt. Why is this so important strategically?
Well, first of all, it's in the very, very volatile, obviously, very important Middle East. The Suez Canal runs right through Egypt, and in order for oil to transit, commerce to transit, freedom of any type of activity, you need to have access to the Suez Canal. So the United States presence in that region is incredibly important. Also, Israel is a neighbor of Egypt. And over the course of the last 3 decades, Israel and Egypt have figured out how to cooperate and get along. That's extremely important, and it's been the anchor of our stability in the region for that amount of time. The actual military exercises that have been in place with Egypt since 1980 followed the Camp David Accords that were in place and have been an ongoing exercise series with not only the Egyptian military but other friends and allies in the region, and have been quite successful in terms of establishing forms of military interoperability. That means how do you work together both at the very highest strategic levels and then field training exercise at the various lowest levels. And those are trust building exercises. We figure out how they work, they figure out how we work, and our military equipment, our training, our education, and our doctrine look very, very much the same. So it's an important relationship that we can't abandon. Now, the fact that the president has canceled Bright Star, which is the name of the exercise, for this year is not a big deal. We'll be able to overcome that, but I do think the aid that we provide Egypt is important, and we need to hold on to that, not declare that we're going to withdraw it.
What if it were to be temporarily suspended, not necessarily ended throughout, but suspended as a result of the current turmoil?
Well, absolutely. I mean, you could suspend it and say, look, here's the quid pro quo. You do this, we'll then reinstate. There could also be some what's known as either civilian or commercial aid that could take place through USAID. That is not as significant in terms of its size and its ability to impact what's going on. What has to happen right now, clearly, Fred, is the violence has to subside. So the only way that's going to happen is through some type of military action. Diplomacy at this point has a very strong military flavor.
And what do you mean military action? Meaning U.S. military involvement in the crisis and trying to quiet things down? What do you mean by that?
No, Fred, not at all. What I mean is those relationships are in place. They're very strong, they're very broad, they're very rich in terms of their culture and history. The United States does have influence, but they are losing that influence. And the key influence they have right now is that our militaries cooperate and they know each other awfully well. What we should do immediately is we should have a very open communications with the Egyptians. I'm confident we are, and most of those are probably back channel comms. And we need to get the military, the Egyptian military, to reduce alter their rules of engagement. They should be armed, but they should have very strict engagement criteria. They should not be shooting into those crowds. Look, the Muslim Brotherhood is not a large, significant threat. It's losing its relevance. The people don't want them there anymore. They've lost their any form of legitimacy, and it can subside if the military can learn to act with a little more restraint which it has not yet demonstrated.
But I'm
that
sure in
will
large
happen if
part
the military
that's created
can
a real problem for the U.S. to even offer or initiate dialogue with whom? I mean, the leadership is non-existent right now, or at least a clear form of leadership is non-existent.
Well, there's no form of leadership that's viable in terms of the Muslim Brotherhood directing activities, because what you have is a lot of local violence that's taking place, and the Muslim Brotherhood has said this is disassociated from our affiliations. These are not our folks. We're a peaceful group. Clearly, that's not the case.
All right.
The military, however, is in charge, and that's our line of communications.
All right, James Spider Marks, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Fred.